Hello guys, preview pod. We're back, another preview and a massive, massive game coming up on the weekend. Maybe one of the only two games we can possibly, on paper, win for the rest of the year. Will we win every game for the rest of the year? Maybe, I guess, maybe. Will we maybe beat the Hawks on the weekend? Maybe. That's about as confident as I can be after last week's performance, but we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. Let's just get straight into it. Some team news, not team news, but just things going on around the club this week. Obviously, the awful news that Griffin Logue is out for 10 to 12 months, confirmed ACL. It's crazy how minor of a movement that was for him to get such a significant injury. I think we can all agree that that is the worst part of the ground / position that we can get an injury in right now. Our defense is pretty atrocious. We don't have great key defenders. Ben Mackay is a good defender on his day. But now that means that because Griffin Logue is out, one A core will be playing every game for the rest of the year, which we know is not great. So, yeah, I guess we'll talk about some lineup changes and things like that. The team's been dropped. I haven't actually looked at the team yet. I thought I'd keep it a surprise and I'll react to the team. I know it's an extended squad for Sunday, but to see who's in, see who's out, that'll be a bit of fun. But yeah, really unlucky for Griff. I think he's been a little bit hard done by this year. He's been a great addition to the team, much more solid than other defenders. And yeah, he can be a little bit sporadic sometimes and think he's a midfielder and try and, fend off and bust out of packs. But I think all in all, great intercept marker, agile, good at spoiling. And yeah, doesn't let us down too often. I think, has had his moments, but when the ball's coming in that much, anyone's going to have a moment, aren't they? You chuck Dustin Fletcher or Mick Martin back there and they'd still look like an average defender in our defence. The only other news really going around, I guess Clarkson, I think he was meant to be back this week because I did say last week he's be back next week, which is this week. Look at me go. Look at my deduction skills like Sherlock Holmes. I guess he is back. They're probably not announcing it too much. Not a good idea to get a media storm going around the Hawks game. So I'd assume he's back around the club, doing a little bit here and there and might be back coaching in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But hopefully he's back and going well. And North Melbourne legend Robbie Tarrant retired today, effective immediately, which is very interesting. I did forget he played for Richmond, but no disrespect to Taz. I loved Robbie Tarrant and we missed him dearly when he left. We just need another one of him down there, don't we? That we're dying for a good key defender. Robbed of All-Australian a few times, Robbie Tarrant. If the blue on our jersey was black and not blue, that man would have been at least a 2 or 3 time All-Australian. So congrats on the retirement, Taz. You're always a North legend, and we missed you dearly when you left. So, yeah, 16 years he was in the league. Can you believe that? I saw them post 16 years, 100 and something games. Who knows what it was? I can't remember, but 167 games or something like that. Yeah. Injury prone at the start of his career, became a great defender, started up forward. And that might actually be a little interesting topic that I've put a dot point on here. With Charlie Comben coming back towards the end of the year, do we try and make Comben into a defender? I probably would give it a go, to be honest. And it's not a deep discussion we're going to get to now, just the preview pod. But I like CCJ and Larkey up forward. We're going to talk about CCJ in a second in a new little segment. But yeah, Comben, we've got no defenders, and our defence next year when Mackay goes and Logue's going to be out is going to be absolutely atrocious. So, look, I'll leave that to the coaches, but Comben down back, worth a try when he comes back. That's about all of the news going on around the club. I did reach out to you guys last week and sort of say, what else do you want to hear on this podcast? And especially when we're getting belted around all the time, which is going to happen for the next couple of years, I reckon. What do you guys want to hear and what's going to keep you entertained? So we did get a couple of good suggestions. We did get one. I'll try and look this up and see who it was from. We did get a segment of something called Under the Microscope. I'm just trying to find who sent me this one. And if I don't have it here, I really do apologize. A lot of you guys wanted to hear me talking about the twos as well, which we are going to do. That was probably the most requested thing. Here we go. Tommy Harris 4 on Instagram said an Under the Microscope segment, intense look at one player that performed good or bad, which I think is a good idea. So we're going to do that later in the show as well. And we're going to talk about some of the twos pushing for ones and things like that. So hopefully you guys like a bit more VFL chat. Obviously the VFL team's doing very well. And thank you for the suggestion of the microscope from Tommy. So yeah, we're going to try those out. If you guys want to hear anything else, I'm more than happy to, pave to your whim. So let me know. Send me a message. I try and respond as quick as I can. I'm a bit slow sometimes because I'm usually pretty busy. But hey, it is what it is. Now, what I think we're going to do now is before I react to the team that's been picked, I'm going to talk about a couple of changes I would make and which is going to also be a couple of guys in the VFL who I think are playing well. So what I would do, some of the players coming in who I think deserve a chance, and these are some guys who are playing well in the VFL. Now, I've gone super heavy on the ins this week. I think last week's performance was atrocious. Yes, it was better the second half, but we need to start getting more ruthless. Now, stupidly, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 changes, which I know is not going to happen. And I know that's not a realistic thing, but from the team I would like to see at the moment, this is what I would change, but I know this is not going to be what Rats picks this week. But let's go through what I think first. A couple of players in the VFL who are pushing. Robert Hansen Jr., 9 touches and 4 goals on the weekend. That's the sort of ratio and the sort of thing we want to see from Paul Curtis. And every time Paul Curtis goes back to the VFL, he does that as well. But I think Hansen, is sort of deserves to get a run. It's probably a little bit early realistically, but how bad we played last week and how hurt I was, I think I'm overreacting here. But Hansen Jr., 9 touches, 4 goals last week, deserves a go. Bergman, 2 goals, 17 touches with good efficiency once again. I don't agree that this guy should have been dropped, especially over Perez or anyone like that. He should come back into the side and be given a chance to regain his form that he showed for the first half of the season, which he was great. Will Phillips was best on ground in the twos on the weekend with the win over Geelong, so he should surely be coming back in. Once again, I haven't looked at the squad yet to come back in, but he was best on ground, so surely he's coming in. Someone I'd like to see get a run is Callan Dawson. It does feel like the guy will never play in the ones ever again, but he took 7 marks on the weekend and only had 1 turnover, which I think is decent from a defender. It doesn't really break down. I couldn't find too much breakdown on contested, uncontested marks, but Callan Dawson, from a few guys I know who watch the VFL, has said he's playing decently. And with how poor our defence is, I think he deserves a shot. George Wardlaw, I haven't really put any stats for Wardlaw. I just said he's a gun, and he should walk back into this team whenever he wants. So Wardlaw comes back in for me. Gota, 23 touches with 0 turnovers on the weekend off halfback. Good disposal efficiency too. We need to give him a run off this half-back line. We need something else in this defence. And Perez, and I'm a bit harsh on Lockie Young, I think. I think Lockie Young's fine, but I'd probably rather Gota play than Young. I think Gota should come in. And Jackson Archer, 15 touches, 7 marks. I'd really like to see him come in and play what Luke McDonald is trying to do. Try to lock down a small forward and nullify them instead of like Waitman and Toby Green and basically any medium to small size forward that kicks 4+ on us every week. So I'd like to see Archer come in. So I've got Hansen Jr., Bergman, Phillips, Dawson, Wardlaw, Gota, Archer. And the last talking point, I'd bring Todd Goldstein back in. We talk about Tristan Xerri all the time, so I'm not going to harp on too much about this. I thought Tristan Xerri was pretty atrocious on the weekend. It baffles me that they put him in our best players. The club posted up that Tristan Xerri had a great game. We're posting his stats. I don't dislike Tristan Xerri, and I hope he can be a good ruckman when Goldstein goes. I'm going to reinforce this because I know how passionate you Xerri fans are out there. But we need to win this game, and Goldstein's a better ruckman than Xerri still. 45 hitouts, sounds nice. We got 4 centre clearances for the entire game last week, and that's just pathetic. He bounces chest marks off his chest all the time, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't really see it with Xerri, so I would bring Goldstein back in. I'm guessing that's not going to happen. I think they'll try and go with Xerri for the rest of the year, but that could really hamper our centre clearances, which is our strength on the weekend. So I would do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Out for me would have been, if I was picking, and once again, I haven't looked at the team just yet, but my outs that I would have picked, I think I'd put Lockie Young out, but only because I want to see some other players play over him, not because he was bad. I think Lockie Young was fine, and he is quite young, so I've got nothing against Lockie Young, and yeah, if he stays in the team, I won't be disappointed at all, but I think I'd probably rather Goda or Archer get a spot, or Bergman in defence over him. But once again, Lockie Young doesn't deserve to be dropped, but I think it's more just about other players I'd rather see. Perez, for me, not a good enough footballer. Going to be a good, like Daniel Howe or like Kane Turner. Going to be a great player in the twos, but isn't going to do it at the ones. So I just don't think he's good enough, to be honest, and he doesn't really show anything. Yep, nice goal from outside 50. That was great. But other than that, didn't do anything. So I'd drop Perez. Lazaro had 14 touches. Probably not enough. I know he doesn't get enough time in the midfield like he does in the twos, but yeah, I don't know. He is exactly what he is. It does what it says on the tin with Lazaro. Yeah, comes in, will get 12 to 14 touches, be okay, but not really make an impact. So I don't think he makes it in the ones for me. Logan Simpkin out because of their injuries, of course. Tristan Xerri, I've written here, 45 hitouts with 4 centre clearances to us. That's just not good enough from a ruckman. So I've no problem with Xerri playing majority of the rest of the year. But once again, like I said in the podcast last week, I'd probably bring Goldstein into this game merely because we just need to win it so desperately. So yeah, I would probably give Xerri a go in the twos again. Put him in the twos for like a month and get his confidence really, really high. Like he comes back, has one good game and comes back into the team. Don't dislike it, but I don't know. I just don't think he's as good as other people think he is. This one will not happen. I, once again, haven't looked yet, but I know it's not going to. I'd drop Core. I'd like to see Dawson play over Core. Core is just not good. So he got 5 turnovers, I think, and his disposal efficiency wasn't great, I think, but 5 turnovers from Core as a defender. Those balls probably went straight over our heads. You can't be doing that in defence. He did take 7 marks. The one thing I'll say with Aiden Core's game last week is he took 7 marks. I think there was a couple of contested ones there. I don't think Aiden Core was bad last week, but his run of games is always bad. And just because you have one game that's not bad doesn't mean you can stay in the team for me. So, look, Aiden Core, he's going to stay in the team. I know he's not going to be dropped, but he really needs to start stepping up because I can't believe this guy's on an AFL field. And the other one is Luke McDonald. I think it's time for Luke McDonald to have a spell. I want him to earn his spot in this team, and I know he's the captain, and I'm sure they're not going to drop Simpkin and McDonald because you can't drop our 2 captains. That looks bad on us, but 9 turnovers. So Core and McDonald combined, 16 turnovers in our defence, which is pretty appalling. So, look, I've been a McDonald supporter for a long time. I just think he hasn't been good enough, and I would like Archer to sort of play his role. But once again, I know all those changes won't happen, but that's probably what I would do, to be honest, if I was coach. Now, let's look at the team, and once again, I'm seeing this for the very first time. So the team that got announced, the extended squad in Curtis Taylor, George Wardlaw, Liam Shields, Daniel Howe, Josh Goda, Jackson Archer. Okay. Why isn't Will Phillips in there, who's best on ground? Sorry, yeah. Okay, this is my first live reaction to a team on the podcast, so let me know if you think this is awful or good. Curtis Taylor, don't get that. Hasn't really done anything in the twos as far as I can tell. Hopefully he doesn't play. Wardlaw, great. Shields, fine with me. Daniel Howe, hopefully sub at most for me. But other than that, please no, not in the starting 22. Goda in, that's good. I like seeing that. And Jackson Archer, that's awesome. Hopefully Jacko gets a game and Goda can get a game as well. So I'd like to see that. So Wardlaw in, Shields in, Goda and Archer are the ones I would like to see come in. Out Simpkin, Griffin Logan, Flynn Perez with a knee. Interesting. I didn't know he got injured. A couple of guys, I guess, in there that are still playing, like Lockie Young is back in the squad again for this week. Like I said before, don't really have a problem with it. Other guys I'd like to see over him, but playing Young, Goda and Archer, that's interesting. Hopefully that means Taryn can push forward a little bit and not play in the back line because he was pretty bad. Cooper Harvey keeps his spot. And no Larkey, please, I'm looking at Nick Larkey's name. And no Goldstein in this squad at all. So, look, I knew they were going to go with Jerry. I knew Core was going to stay in there, but probably not what I would be going with. Curtis Taylor is a very weird one to be putting back in this team. Hasn't been good enough and hasn't really earned it for me, and I'd be putting Will Phillips over him in a heartbeat. Different players, I know, but you can shuffle things. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So I guess we'll see tomorrow who they're going to bring in and take out officially. But once again, for me, I'd probably bring in Wardlaw, Shields, Goda and Archer. Definitely Wardlaw, Goda, Archer. And then, bring out Perez, Logue, Simpkin, I guess. Let's talk about the sub quickly. Zeeble was the sub last week. I definitely would not be doing that again. Zeeble plays in the back line for me. We need experience. Let's get into this under the microscope thing because this is going to go to my sub. So I've got 2 players on under the microscope this week. Now, the 2 players that I think need to step up, Paul Curtis is one of them. I've been a big Paul Curtis defender, and I think he's too talented to drop, sort of like Miller Bergman, but he needs to do something this game. Last game, he had 10 touches, no goals, and only 50% disposal efficiency. Not great. I would be making him the sub this week. He needs to earn his spot. Cooper Harvey played better than him last week. He's got that spot in the forward line now. Jaden Stevenson is a good player. We know he gets his game every week. Paul Curtis needs to step up. The other guy that needs to step up is my guy, Callum Coleman-Jones. When he came into the team against Sydney and the Pies and the Bombers, when we did have that run, he really was a key in transforming this team into being more competitive. Him leading up on the wing and being a target to mark, getting forward and kicking a few goals, he was great. And he has been absent since the bye. Absolutely absent. Even against the Dogs, he didn't do too much. He needs to step up. We need him in the team. We need someone with his height, his physicality, and he can kick a goal. So I'm going to be looking for Curtis and Callum Coleman-Jones to be stepping up big time this week. Big time. Yeah. Any players that are under the microscope for good, I haven't really thought about just yet. I'd like to see LDU back up his form. I think he was great and best on ground last week. So LDU to continue it and please lead our midfield this week. We need to win this game so badly. All right. The opposition's last result. Let's have a look. I think Hawthorn played GWS and they sort of pushed them. I think the last couple of weeks, the first couple after their bye, what's their name? Hawthorn were pretty bad. They had a couple of big losses. They only went down by 13 points to the Giants. So, yeah, the Hawks are a tough one. My heart says we'll win, but on paper, we're not the favourites. Let me look at the betting odds here, but we don't deserve to be favourites either. Yeah, $1.60 or $1.46 to $2.74. And that's fair enough as well. I don't think we're too far behind them, but they've definitely been better all season. I really do believe that North's list on paper is better than theirs, but they're just getting more out of their guys. I guess it's better coaching right now, and their guys might not have as much of a ceiling as our players, but they've got players in their team that are building a core and a foundation, not like guys on our team who just shouldn't be even near a football field. We've either got your Wardlaws, your Sheasels, your Larkies who are great, But we've also got your Perez's and your Calls and even a McDonald at the moment, which just aren't performing. But they seem to be pretty consistent week in, week out. So my head is telling me this game, we probably don't get the win, but I'm going with my heart in this game. My heart says we're going to win it. I don't know how confident I am. I'm sort of at the point with North Melbourne right now, guys, where I'm going to back them, but I'll believe it when I see it. And I think I want to be more positive, but they've got to give us some reasons why we should be backing this team at the moment. The last 2 games have been really, really poor. So we really need to go out and do something and actually perform. I'll believe it when I see it, but I will be there. I'll be cheering on the lads. There is Bay 29 tickets as well, I will say quickly. I don't think there's many left. They were down to like the last 50 tickets or something like that yesterday. So North Melbourne, closer to a flag, get to their Facebook, get to their Instagram page. There's a Bay 29 Instagram page as well. Get your tickets, jump on Ticketmaster or Ticket Tech, whichever one it is, and the code is MAKEPEACE. So everyone get down to Bay 29. It's going to be a great time. We always know it goes off. That's about it, I guess, for the tips, guys. I'm going to tip all of the games now, but that's about all the North chat I think we've got this week. Hopefully you liked breaking down a little bit more of the VFL players and who I think deserves to come in or get a chance in the next few weeks. And I think putting a couple of players under the microscope will be very, very good. I'll try and get a few more stats of these guys under the microscope. I guess I did bring a few Paul Curtis ones, but I didn't really look at what Callum Coleman-Jones has been doing, but all I know is he hasn't been making much of an impact on the game. So let's do some tipping. I'm recording this Thursday night. Currently, in the third quarter, the Swans are 56-41 over the Doggies. I'm going to say the Dogs come back and win by under a goal. That's all I'm saying right now. Swans are currently ahead by 15, just starting the third. So I'm going to say the Dogs come back and win by a goal. Friday night, we have the D's and the Lions. That's a big game at the MCG. Oh, I think the Lions do it, you know. I'm a Lions believer. Most people seem to be off the Lions, but I reckon the Lions come to Melbourne and show that they can win at the G. So I'm going to tip the Lions in that one. Collingwood Dockers, Collingwood. Suns Saints. Suns are favourites. What is going on there? $1.55 to $2.41. Guys, go and back the Saints. I know that they, nearly got beaten by West Coast a few weeks ago. And yes, it's on the Gold Coast this game, but the Saints are 6th. I mean, I think the Saints are vulnerable, but they should definitely be favourites in this game. Saints, absolutely Saints. Carlton, Port Adelaide. Carlton are favourites. What is going on? The Blues are currently favourites against Port Adelaide. I know it's in Melbourne, and I know Port have a couple of injuries, but this is blasphemy, guys. What is happening here? Put your money on Port Adelaide right now. I hate Port Adelaide, but if you're a betting man, geez, bet for the Saints and Port Adelaide. That's wild. Geelong versus Essendon down at the Cattery. Yep, Cats win that one. Essendon, maybe could upset, and they've been better this year, but as we saw last week, the Cats, we gave them a nice form booster. Crows and Giants. Crows win that one easily in Adelaide. And Eagles, Tigers. Tigers win that one. It is in Perth, but it doesn't really matter, does it? So they're my tips for the week, guys. If you're into betting, please copy all the bets that I have done. They are 100% foolproof. Lastly, what we'll finish off on, I did forget to post up and ask you guys about the obscure player of the week, but I did post a photo of... what's his name? Mason Cox. Yeah, Mason Cox. I can't believe that a video popped up in my YouTube feed from 9 years ago about Mason Cox doing a trial at North Melbourne before he went to Collingwood. So imagine if we signed him. Our ruck problems would basically be solved. I do really think the ruckman is a dying art in the modern game, and I know some people are going to hate hearing that, but as long as you get a guy who can run all day and tap the ball in the direction and basically become a midfielder when it hits the ground, that's all you need these days. And I think that's why I'm a bit skeptical in our ruck stocks here. Mark Blitzarves is I know he doesn't always play in the ruck, but he is like the ruckman that I would like to have going forward in the modern game. As an example, like Brodie Grundy is considered one of the better ruckmen in the game because he does stuff that ruckmen don't do. When Nick Nat was at his peak, he was good because he did stuff that ruckmen didn't do. And that's what you really need to be a good ruckman these days. Your classic 90s tap ruckman is pretty dead, if you ask me. So, yeah, maybe we can sway Mason Cox to come back to his first home of AFL football, the North Melbourne Football Club. Really, really quickly as well, I did see a report, more North Melbourne news actually, that they're reporting that Jack Ginnivan may be on his way out of Collingwood. And someone did message me, I forgot your name, sorry, I'll see if I can find the name quickly here. Here we go. So they're on Instagram, it's Santan Pelly, if I've said that right. He says, I reckon a lot of people want to hear your opinion on alleged rumours about Jack Ginnivan being linked to North. I think personally he can be the small forward gun if he can put on some muscle because he has that energy and speed. Thank you for writing in, and yes, I'm glad I remembered your comment. Look, would I say no to Jack Ginnivan? No, I would not. We're not in the position to say no to any players at this point in time, to be honest with you. Any rumours about players coming to North Melbourne, if there's other clubs speculating, nobody is coming to this club right now. We'll probably pick up a couple of guys who don't quite make it in the 22s of other clubs, and hopefully Clarkson and the scouting team can find some real gems in there. Guys, Jack Ginnivan is not coming to North Melbourne. He's just not. I could see most clubs around Melbourne offering him something. I could absolutely see the Saints offering him something. Basically, every club could use a player like that. I don't like Jack Ginnivan. I think he's a little turd. But once again, we're North fans and we can't be too picky right now. My opinion, would I say yes to him coming? Yes. Begrudgingly, yes. Do I think he's a chance to come to North? Absolutely not. No one with any status is going to come to North Melbourne currently. We need to get out of this funk. We need to get out of this losing mentality before we get any free agents that we really get excited about. So sorry to be a bit negative there, and thank you for the comment again. I would say yes to him, but it's not going to happen. No chance in any sort of world, unfortunately. We're not at that point yet. Hopefully in a few years we can attract some names who can do something, but yeah, no one's coming to North for the next few years, guys. Let's just relax on that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in again. A little bit of a longer one with a few extra segments, but hopefully you guys don't mind that on a preview podcast. Let me know what you think about diving into the twos a bit more. Let me know what you liked about microscope on a couple of players. And yeah, let's do it this weekend, guys. Everyone get down there. Let's just cheer on the guys. This is one of the only couple of games I reckon we can win for the rest of the year. So if you were ever going to go down to Marvel Stadium, it's 1 o'clock. It's not 4:40. Get down there. Let's show what we can do. And please, for the love of God, can we please win this game? It's going to be a very interesting podcast if on Monday if we don't win. And it also will be interesting if we do win because I won't know what to do. But anyway, should have a guess for that one. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. See ya.